Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching in a new setting today. Looks like a big boy office I got upgraded to. Don't worry, Justin, it's temporary. Wish it were permanent here. It definitely elevates the look. As everyone loves, I'm sure, the wall in the background, like the mattress every once in a while. We're doing something different here today here. But how you feeling, man? I mean, I think you and I maybe were guilty of being a little bit too high on the US Open Cup result, a little bit, just a little bit. We came back down to earth pretty quick this weekend. How you feeling?
We did. I would say, yeah, we were definitely guilty of it, but there was a reason for it. It seemed like we started to finally click on the things that we've been waiting to click on, and you thought that would be like the tipping point, and then it was just like, nope, we're right back where we started. It was almost just like we scrounged, yeah, throw it out the window, like kind of forget that the U.S. Open Cup even happened in that game, and just we went right back to our old selves on a Sunday afternoon, which was awesome, Jake. I'm a huge fan of one day games, you know that, but two, Sunday night soccer being at 4:30. I was out
Yeah.
on the patio. We were grilling at halftime. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I love the different game times. The Saturday nights can miss me, man. I love this team and I love soccer. It's just not what I want to do every Saturday night. You know what I mean? My wife would probably double down on that message as well. But Justin, I think part of the rug pull that you're describing here, because we were kind of shrouded heading into this match, was we thought we'd found something. And then we saw some rotation to the 11. Only, I think, one of them being really expected. Here's what we rolled out with in the Hoffman Brothers starting 11. Actually, quick plug for our sponsor, our presenting sponsor for 2026, Hoffman Brothers Plumbing. Guys, we don't talk about it too often here. That's because we're not experts. But Hoffman Brothers is offering a $95 main drain special for your plumbing. So if that's backing up, if you got some main drain issues, and I bet one or two of you probably had a couple of those. They can get that thing flowing for just $95. I know that you probably used seen contractors, vendors throw you some quotes that you just jaw hits the floor on. Not Hoffman Brothers. That is a known thing. Also think about your sump pumps as well. Might be a good call out when you're getting rainy days like today and this week where it just doesn't seem to end. Make sure you're thinking about things or those services that Hoffman Brothers can do for you.
And that's one, Jake, is like when they first sent that message, I'm like, oh, I never really thought about that. But then like last night, literally kept me up. Did you hear that storm come
Yeah.
through at like 2 a.m. just out of nowhere? And the last thing you want to do is having your basement flood. So call Hoffman Brothers. They'll take care of you. Tell them we sent you. They'll help you out and they'll give you a little white glove service. But yeah, Jake, the starting 11, the only real like true surprise is Miggy Perez. That came absolutely out of nowhere for me. And yes, you did confirm with the club that Edelman was on load management, which I understand. But then, Jake, there are just so many other ways that we can maneuver this lineup, in my opinion, than starting Miggy Perez. And my first thought on this, Jake, was like we're putting Leuven up top. Immediately is why don't you just drop Leuven into the Miggy Perez spot and then put Toy Shirt up there or Sang Bin or put Cordova back up top with, and like if we don't want to do the Cordova Betcher, Toy Shirt and Cordova, like if anything, drop Leuven back. And if you don't want to drop Leuven back, is Mr. Ostrak not good to go? Or if you want to, can we move Polvara up on a center back and start Fallu Fall? Miggy Perez starting there just made zero sense to me.
And that's Miggy's, I think, second spot start of the season. He also covered for, I believe it was Hartel in San Diego. I remember because I was there, and it was shocking not to see him there. And that game didn't go so well either, but for different reasons. I would agree that was a big surprise. Obviously, we saw Leuven get the start here at that right-sided 10 position, and Betcher came back in and reclaimed his spot at the 9. Otherwise, it was most of the same crew. I think it was the exact same crew. Yeah, I agree, Justin. I think the midfield quandary is familiar, but in a very negative way. I think we should have done better in this position in recruitment over the last year or two, just given what Leuven's been going through, and all space to him. And I empathize for what he's been through. But as a business, got to take that hat off and put your business hat on. You can't count on him for what's going on at home right now. If you can't count on him consistently, you have to build for that. You have to adjust for that. You have to bring in talent that can help provide alternatives or help kind of backfill when he's not around. And now he comes back and you're not even playing him in central midfield. So it's like your depth in that position has dropped. I mean, significantly. If Dirk and Edelman are just the only guys that are going to play all season and Miggy Perez plays like we saw on Sunday, who else do you have to go to? Ostrak didn't even make the squad.
Well, that's what's confusing me, Jake, is like we kind of talked about it. Like going into the season, we thought that, or sorry, leaving last season, we knew that was kind of like a weaker or a thinner area. Not weaker. I think we had a stronger start there if you wanted to start Durkin and Leuven. before Edelman if we started coming in. But then we added, so then we have Polvara, Ostrak, Perez, Forsanelli. Like we added just so many guys. When we look at like our reserves lineup as when we're like putting together starting 11, that spot is now just saturated. But it's so many just, I guess they're calling them C+ players, not even B- players, to not even keep in the squad. What is the point of filling that many guys as opposed to just filling it with 3 quality guys and rotating them in?
Yeah, I don't really get it. I think it's a recruitment. Yeah. Exactly. And I want to circle back to that, Justin, because you and I think wanted to take a click out too at some point during the show. But let's talk about this game just, I think, a little bit, because I think a lot of us, even though it's only Tuesday, a lot of us kind of, I feel like, have processed where this was. And we'll talk about the game, do it some due diligence, but I think we'll get back to some of the real things that undid us ultimately in this one. But Austin really, they surprised me coming out of this one at the very start. I think they looked to be the agitators on the front foot, and I don't think we were really up to it. And that was from the beginning. They had some great transition play immediately. Even in the second minute, I cited one where Toland kind of got coughed up the ball, maybe a foul, but they drove north and south immediately on a long diagonal, which you saw them go back to and go back to and go back to on that our right side, their left side. So McNaughton and Wallum kind of being the targets there. But if anything, Justin, positive spin on this, it told me that Berkey was up for it early in this match. He was facing, I think we said as much in the preview, that he would have to kind of earn his dinner, his lunch money here. And I think he did. And that started very early on.
It did, Jake, because if you look at this, I took a screenshot on my phone because I was like, we are getting pummeled. And I wanted to make sure that I had these stats correct. At the 9.5 minute mark into the game, they had 62% possession to 38%. I don't usually worry about that. But total passes was 73 to 36. Not good start for us. And then you added into their actual offense. They had 5 shots to our 0. They only landed 1 of those on goal, but it was a very nice chance and an XG of 0.52. And they had a corner kick to our 0. So we were literally zeros down the board with only 36 passes 10 minutes into the game. And it is not, we just talked about that. That was the biggest thing, is do not start slow. Stop putting yourself in a hole that then it's tough to dig out of, and or we cannot dig out of. And on this one, we're lucky that Rome was standing on his head.
And he kept us in there because I think at the 10th minute mark is when we finally maybe woke up. One of those punches rung a bell for us, because then we had a little sequence between our right side in attack of, Leuven, Wallum, even Hartel got involved. You notice how much, Justin, he was kind of just aggregating over to the side where Leuven and Betcher were. And our left was really just wide open from an attacking point of view. And you saw it in the stats. Most of our entries into the box, most of our entries in the final third all came from the right. But there was some good interplay, some good moments between those. There was just a missing kind of final touch on one moment in the 10th minute. And then Leuven he skied a point blank shot that you usually kind of expect him to finish, but he kind of sliced across it because he didn't want to hit it with his left foot, which, you get, but you're a professional. I'd rather you almost just do that versus try to like perfectly hit this with the outside of your boot and bend a top corner. But it was a little bit of a writing on the wall moment for me, because Leuven's the guy that's been pumping in goals the last 2 weeks since he came back, and he missed it from a range that you'd never expect him to.
No, I thought that was actually going to sneak in the top right corner. I'm fine with his right there, because I think he has a little bit more, not a little bit, I think he has a lot more control on it. It's probably more natural to go to the left, but I think if he was literally just a half a yard to the right, that goes in. He just tried to like bend it, and there wasn't enough time for the ball to bend. He was inside the 18, and it was a tough one. But Jake, jumping us straight into then the next 15 minutes, 15 to 30, Austin was just hungrier. And they saw it in the first 15 minutes, and then it continued in that next, and that all the way until the 21st minute, Jake. I want to share screens on this because I was frustrated again with our marking. For some reason, we just continue to drop lines. And on here, it makes sense to drop line. For everybody that can't see this is a free kick for Austin, probably about 15 yards into our half. They end up going short, which is fine. So we don't see our guys step, right? That's fine. But now let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 City defenders on the line with one Austin attacker behind them. Let's watch this play out, Jake. How this goes is we all drop. We're all dropping right here. And then here's still the one Austin defender surrounded by 4 City defenders. And you guess who wins this head ball, Jake? The Austin defender. We don't get a single body on him, causing Roman to just jump up with his arms wide and making a massive forearm save, point blank, and keeping us in this one. This should have been an early goal in the 21st. And with the way that Austin been playing, this could have been done early. Look at this, how we're dropping from this angle. Not a single person grabbing a shirt, just looking at the ball and just getting back. And it's just extremely disheartening for me that this team continues to do this and not just get a body on somebody. That's all you need to do if you're Timo Baumgartel.
Yeah, and I want to make sure everyone kind of gets it too. It's not like you're just saying we have to win every head ball, because that's not the message of the memo. The memo is, when you're the lesser of the two teams on the pitch, you got to work every inch harder than the other team. And that goes into the soft stuff as well. That's just like mentality. That's, how can I be more physical, be more demanding of myself and my teammates? And in the box, it's got to be a dogfight. It's got to be an absolute dogfight. And we've seen weaknesses on the set piece defense front for us. So what does that tell you? Does that give you any more confidence that we're getting better in the box and defending aerial sorts of duels there? Because they won 2 headers in that sequence, and your goalkeeper just stands on his head to keep you alive in it. And so, it's, again, themes that these are not new. These are things that we've already discussed. And I feel like we were just trying to trade in punches in this first half, Justin, because then we go back down. In about the 25th minute, I had Leuven, who just fizzed a great corner kick set piece, a near post, which you don't see very often anymore. I remember seeing these kind of coming up in the game, playing at lower levels. And Betcher making that near post run, flicks it on goal. Stuver says, I'm going to be equal to it. Berkey's, having a game, but don't forget about me. I'm always a top 5-ish goalkeeper in this league as well. But the execution, Justin, I don't think either one of Leuven or Betcher could have done anything different here. That's a hard finish to get on goal, but Stuver equal to it.
No, and I think the best part about this, Jake, I don't know if this next replay shows it. It doesn't. I'm going to go back to this. This is an absolute set play by us, and they showed it live during the game, and I was extremely impressed with the run that Hartel made, because he essentially sets a screen here. So that's what keeps us open. Look at Hartel right here, pushing on this defender, and that's what leaves that open, and that is huge. Otherwise, this is not allowed for Simon Betcher. That defender is supposed to be marking that for a ball like this specifically, and Hartel brings this run in here and sets this pick right here, so that the defender can't get on it. And yeah, I mean, that's all you can do with Simon Betcher, is just redirect that, get it on net. Great save by Stuver. But I love that we do have some tricks in the bag. And we have a lot more tricks in the bag when you have Leuven taking those corner kicks as well. Hartel, yes, can make that pass, but when you have Hartel in the box actually making those runs and drawing attention to himself as well, it just adds to that much more confidence in Leuven's kick, and then also freedom for Betcher to go get it.
Final 15 of the first half, I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about memorably. The only thing I had was the hand of God goal that they scored, that I thought the guy that deliberately handballed, and he got a yellow for it, handballed it in, was claiming that it wasn't off of him or that it was natural, like whatever he wanted to argue. But then they were trying to argue that there was a foul before that in the lead up that VAR then took a look at. But that was kind of a funny moment. Man, you just don't see it very often. Like, does this guy not expect us to have 70 billion camera angles to catch this one? I mean, it is literally fingertips on the ball to knock this in. It's actually pretty funny to look at.
Yeah, watching it in slow mo, it was actually kind of awesome. It's like, I'm not going to get there. There it goes. Go straight up and put the arm in. And you know what sucks, Jake, is like back in the day, probably a goal. Like, I don't know if anybody's really going to, great job by the assistant ref. I think he was the one that maybe called it. But if he doesn't have someone in his ear for the main ref, for the VAR, probably a goal. And that's how the hand of God actually happened way back in the day.
So first half finishes up very much an Austin half. If you look at the stats, they're not far apart. They are in the margins, but it is still 0-0. The thing I was happy about was, from an open play perspective, we were generating some expected goals at almost 1. And this is pre the Betcher moment, which we will talk about, because I know there's a lot of debate raging online. And Justin, let's just hop into it right now. You go into the first half, not your best stuff, but you're 0-0. And I think you'll take that heading into it. I know I would take that, because I was on second half being the higher scoring half. And then the 46-60 moment, Justin, here. So in the 55th minute, I think, is a debate that probably still is going on in some funnels of social media here and there. I know you and Mike Sinnott had your own discussion, very healthily so, in our group chat here. But, it's the miss. You guys have seen it a billion times. But I think maybe what we can do, Justin, is just kind of layer in some of the technical aspects of this that make it, I think, a shared discrepancy between both Hartel and Betcher, but one that I think you're willing to go to bat for Simon on.
I am. So on this one, Jake, I think I think everybody agrees that if there's anybody they want on the ball in the situation, it's Hartel, right? The one thing that I would say and he would absolutely say he should have played a better ball. I think he needs to be playing it sooner as well. When you watch how close he gets here, he takes one more touch, and then he starts getting like almost too close to Stuver, where I think Stuver actually may have faked him out a little bit. And then this ball, like, look, if he plays this ball right here, this is an easy tap in. I'd probably call it an XG of 0.9. Like, Simon Betcher's going to finish that ball. and even so much that Roman Bricky says so. However, you see that Simon Betcher's running probably about 2 yards inside the post. The ball gets played. He has to hit it with his left, fading away from the goal on his off foot outside of the post, trying to redirect it back in with the defender also closing on him as well. So it's not like one where you can just make sure you cut it and like little English on it, like a pool shot. No, you got to put this in the back of the net and put it with some pace on it as well. So the argument that Mike had on this was that Simon Betcher still had a a 0.32 XG, and that's where how much blame he should get, 32%. I think that I disagree with that. I think that's flawed. The 0.32 XG evaluates the shot that Betcher actually got, not the chance that would have existed if Hartel actually played a better pass. XG is given the angle and the situation, saying that Betcher will score that 32% of the time. The 32% chance that Hartel left Betcher with does not calculate the process of all before that, saying that what the chance should have created. I would say when we're dribbling at a goal like that, Jake, do you ever see that the XG on the end of a play like that is 0.32? So no, I think that it should have been a 0.8, 0.9, and that discrepancy goes all on Hartel for the pass.
Yeah, and again, we have a bias towards our Slukin for sure. But I see frankly, I see both your points. I'm probably somewhere in the middle where I do think like you would rather have no one else than Hartel in this moment. But in my opinion, I look at this again, and Justin, I want you to hit pause where you did at the beginning too. Watch Simon stop. Like right here, he stops his run because I think it's just gotten too tight now. Like the defender, I think it's Elie, is catching up to him and Hartel. He's not there yet, but he's about to be. And Hartel has taken the ball to be within 3 feet now of Brad Stuver. And he did had a little shimmy, Stuver did, to he faked Simon's way and then went to cover his near post, so Hartel just couldn't slip it in there. If you're gonna do all that, if I'm Marcel Hartel, I'd kind of rather him just go for the finish, because there's so much more that could go wrong by you squaring that ball than you just putting a shot on frame. And so I think he did kind of set Simon up to fail. However, I do also expect more of Simon Betcher, as does Simon Betcher. So like, it's not like this is all Hartel's fault, but it's definitely not all Betcher's fault. And you definitely see him getting drugged through the mud all over the place right now.
Right. And I'm being serious, Jake. I'm putting 90% of this on Hartel. Because I think if he knows that if he squares that, that's an absolute goal. And yes, we ended up with a 0.32 XG. Simon Betcher to score that a third of the time. I don't care. This should have been a 0.9 XG. And I would say that entire difference then goes to Hartel plus the bad pass. And Jake, I actually do think he may have been thinking about shooting this. Right here is when he should have made that pass. Watch his footwork as he gets closer. He almost like stutters and like falters over his own feet. Like, oh, too much. And then he finally last second dishes it to Simon. And I agree. Yes. A third of the time he scores that goal, that's fine. But if he just makes a slotted ball easy across the face of the PK spot, I think that's an easy tap in for us. And we're right back in this, Jake. We're actually winning at that point in this point in the game. Even after everything we just talked about, for some reason, I thought we were already down a goal. No, it's 0-0. And we are winning away at Austin.
Yeah. And that's where it just bigger picture. Doesn't matter whose fault it is. The team didn't execute. And there's no excuse for that moment. Like, because then I think after that, heads dropped a little bit. I don't really have much to say positively about our attack in that second half following that moment. That's the moment that'll live on for everyone's memories. And there might have been a glimpse here or there. I think McSorley had a late shot. I'm looking at my stats right now to see if there's anything else. Yeah, McSorley, like we might have buzzed the tower once, maybe twice after that, but nothing that forced Stuver into anything miraculous. Meanwhile, they get their 2 goals. And I just think, again, things that we've talked about before. I know that you like to talk about your man, Timo Baumgartel, your favorite center back in our core, for his positioning and his drive to continuously drop to deeper positions to allow, not by his own mind, like he's not trying to do this, right, in terms of letting playing more folks on side for Austin in this case. But when you do this dropping, I get you have strengths when you do that, and you can see more of the field. You can probably be a little more front-footed, but you're enabling other attackers to get more of a front foot on your peers that are flanking you on both sides, which happens on this first goal.
It's Jake, honestly, for Timo, it's the same thing. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm Timo Baumgartel, but I had to go through the same thing, switching from playing on before I jumped to the academy. I was playing sweeper. Then Coach Kalish taught me that I had to play a back 4. I always continued to drop further than those guys, and he would get on my butt. You have to stay with your line. Otherwise, how can the rest of your guys know where to hold the line and keep guys on? And Jake, that's a perfect point on this one. Not only with him dropping on this first one, on this corner kick, Watch his marking right here, Jake. It's frustrating. Like, I don't really understand it. This is your guy, right? You're standing right here. Let's let this play out. He's lucky that this guy didn't score the first goal to start right there. Timo Baumgartel just absolutely whiffing on the ball, watching it go behind him, saying, oh, okay. All right, now God's giving you a second chance, Timo. Let's see what you can do with it. Let's watch this. Let's watch this. Who you got right now? I would say you got nobody. And watch him again here, Jake. This ball just gets a nice little clip right over his head. And he just turns around like, oh, no. Oh, no. It's in the back of the net. And I just think, in my opinion, Jake, when we have a corner kick, one, grab a guy. We've talked about that multiple times. Let's stop with the grade school. Everybody take a zone and just cover your little 3-yard area. Get a hand on a jersey. Two, once the ball gets out of the box, that is Timo Baumgartel's time to find everybody and say, you got here, you got here, you got here. And again, you get a hand on a jersey. You do not think that you need to be getting upfield at that point. And this is the ultimate downfall for us. And now we're down 1-0.
I'll add one final thing. I think Mbake probably could have been better positioned there too, but it was Baumgartel that was dropping the deepest that allowed Christian Ramirez to be in line with the offsides flag. Also, do not lose Christian Ramirez in the box. That's just like, if you're going to not mark someone, it can't be him, right? That's one of the most dangerous guys on the field next to Uzuni. Like, you cannot lose Christian Ramirez. That's like someone saying, Hartel, let him go at the top of the box. He's fine. It doesn't make any sense. I know we're not man marking, but if you're going to do any kind of math in your head about who you cannot let slip, he's got to be that jersey number. Secondly, Justin, going on to the final goal for Austin, because this is also stemming from a corner kick, but not one of theirs, one of ours. And we've seen, offense turn to defense turn to offense many, many times this season. But poor corner kick service and delivery. And we get caught sleeping on, when that ball gets turned over, you've got to be on your horseback. And I get the idea of trying to impede the goalkeeper for that quick transition or that quick distribution, but he has many ways of distributing the ball. You can throw the ball around them. You can throw it over the top. You can do whatever you want. The world is your oyster as a goalkeeper in that scenario. He will get the ball somewhere. You can't prevent that if you're Mbake, which we'll see here when you play this. So to allow them to break out that way, almost they took their time in the breakout because Mbake kind of stopped him from the initial distribution. But they go in fast break, and we know how fragile we are on the fast break defense. It's a tried and true method of getting by us and scoring on us, and Austin finds a way to put the insurance goal in.
Yeah, and I want to give a great shout out from STL Soccer News. Chris did an incredible job, and he has done an incredible job all season breaking down some of these goals and really doing some video editing. And it makes it very clear to see here. So we don't have to be the ones trying to draw a circle around this. But look, as the goalkeeper gets the ball, you got Mbake fall. One, I don't know why he wasn't further into the box. You need to get up and try to win one of those headers. Two, when you do, as a center back, you just get back. Your head down, get back. Let everybody else worry about where the defenders are, the ball getting rolled out of the back. You are sprinting directly back to your position. You'll see why here in a second. Instead, what he does, as he gets highlighted here by Chris, jumps up and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, trying to block the throw, which also, Jake, is a yellow card, if he doesn't know this already. Yeah. And so there's no point for him to be doing this. And now look, the ball is behind our center back. Our center back is at their 18. Oh, guess who this is, Jake? Our other center back, Timo Baumgartel. So then we have two center backs behind the ball, and Austin's going to take it down our throat. As they start dribbling here, you can see here, now watch when we hit this pause here. We have a step. I think that's good by Mr. Durkin, trying to press the ball. But then you have Vollum here, who I think is in a great position, to be honest, for his position on the field as a right wing back when you have three center backs. He assumes that he's going to have some cover here behind. When this guy's making the run in behind, look how confused Vollum is. Throwing his arms up like, where is Mbake? Where is Baumgartel? Neither to be found. Ball gets slipped in behind. And then ultimately, I mean, at this point, Jake, there's not a whole lot. I mean, right there, we probably should have had another center defensive mid at the top of the box, which has always been a problem of ours. And then you need Falu to step up, and so they don't hit one of the back of the net. But ultimately, it starts again with somewhat of rest defense when you think about what Mamadou Mbake was talking about, and he was not getting back on defense.
You want to talk about being clinical on goal? Let's talk Austin's second half. 2 shots on target, 2 goals, expected goals, an XG metric for them of 0.64. But if you adjust that for the on target, the quality of where that ball was put on in the goal frame, 1.57. I mean, just very clinical And that's what happens when you have good players in your attack that know how to play together, that know how to spring quick attacks, and they know how to catch a defense that's just not ready for it at the moment. I know Demey did some more proactive substitution this one, pulling Cordova for Leuven. I'm sure that was planned. Give Leuven an hour and throw Cordova on. And the game member was still 0-0 at this point. And then Mbake came on for McNaughton, which starts to tell me I know Orozco's on the bench here. Obviously, didn't get in this game. I still think Orozco will be gone back to eventually here, but Mbake's, I think, slowly starting to rise up in terms of the depth as he should. Joyner got on for Miggy, Falu for Betcher. It was good to see Fall let out of jail for at least a little bit. Gonna need to see a lot more of that, Justin. But let's wrap this up with some key stats you took away or any themes before we talk about the zoom out and Colorado.
Yeah, Jake, I had a fun time. Shout out to Chat City Tactics and St. Louis Soccer News for the new Data Visor tool. I was using that a lot for some of our stats here. But I mean, ultimately, Jake, when you look at the end of it, it looked pretty even. We had 15 shots with 5 on goal. They had 16 shots with 6 on goal. We had an XG of 2.52. They had an XG of 2.17. It's like possession-wise, we were at 45% as well, and we had 6 corners to their 4. It's just all about what you do in the moments that matter the most. And that's where we're struggling with this team. I think that's just case in point.
So I want to go big picture, actually, because I think we've already talked about the themes here, Justin. I think the zoom out will be themes that are more broad across the season versus just this game. And I'll give you a couple, and I want you to layer in some of your perspective, because to me, it's not only these 3 things, but it's 3 things that I feel very confidently on that we've mentioned at least, but haven't harped on too much. I think recruitment and personnel are really starting to rear their ugly heads with this team. And I think the number 9 is a great indicator or a great kind of live representation of what I'm talking about there. The decision to transfer Klaus to the Galaxy late on in January without a vetted successor or a plan has ultimately, I think, really cost us. Because you imagine him starting these games, Betcher coming off the bench, and us saving the game we forfeited by getting Sergio Cordova. Maybe you're eating into his sell on, and I know he's injured right now, which you couldn't predict here. But I think it's just ultimately a pretty wasteful move, and I think we're paying for it because we don't have a striker that's playing well in this system. I think Klaus could absolutely eat in this system, and we're without him. And I think you look at the window overall, Justin. Edelman, I think, has been good. He's the one I feel the best about. Polvara is probably second on my list because I think talent-wise, he could do more than he's doing right now. I don't think he's cut out for this left center back role. I'd like to see him more in the midfield, especially when we need some bodies in midfield. Verdict's out on Mbake because we just haven't seen much about him, but I'm sure that he could do really well. Santos, we all know how that's gone. Even Wallum, if you want to call him the new signing, I know we purchased him officially, has not been great. Conceding those 2 PKs, it's kind of game to game with him. I think just a personnel perspective, it's not there right now. And I think, Justin, before I pause, it kind of gets into the game model where, yes, positively, I like what I'm seeing in terms of how we're approaching games and how we like to have more of the ball. We're not anemic with it anymore. It's a lot easier on the eye, and we're starting to see more open play, chance generation, and the clinical, the efficiency that's not there yet. But is Demey really relying on these 11, 13 guys because these are the only guys that he thinks can play that game model? Because maybe that's why he's relying so heavily on them, and he thinks the guys that are outside of that immediate squad just don't have the capability or quality. That's still a coaching thing. You got to coach the best out of the players that you have available to you. I'm not going to hold him to that exactly yet, but game model wise, Justin, yes, looks better in possession. Out of possession, especially when that possession is forfeited, like an interception, a tackle, a loose touch, we look about as bad as I remember us, right? In transition defense. It's like I feel like it's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. When that ball gets turned over and we get turned around, Justin, it's about as scary and dire times as I remember seeing in this defense.
When we're out of possession, we're out of position. And that's the hardest part about this team. To your point, it's like you do not know what kind of gaping hole you can't even see on the camera when we're not playing at home. And that's the scariest part. And I would say I agree with you, Jake. I think Mike Sinnott brought up one of the best points. It was like we have more guys that have started every game or like almost every game than we do points. And at some point, that should not be the way to go about things. And I'm getting a little bit more nervous that this is starting to create even more of a rift, either in the locker room or between I would say chemistry and form. I want to say form is the main one I'm getting at with this, on guys that are just not getting minutes. Because as you continue to just play the same guys, and we just stay at the bottom of the table, at some point when you're going to try to throw one of these guys in that hasn't gotten a lot of minutes, it's probably not going to go very well for the first game. And then if they don't do well, there goes their confidence. And so it's kind of just like a revolving door of an issue here. And Jake, I like the stat that you have in here that from a player execution perspective, yeah, we're technically the second most unlucky team in the league behind Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a minus 5.2 and underperforming their expected goals, and we're a minus 5 flat. But I don't know if that's truly unlucky. I would say generally it is, yes. But the way that this team has been acting in the final third, I think that just might be our style right now.
Yeah, and again, I think it's also, I think, a little bit of a defensive betcher. Is I think what we've learned, at least maybe reinforced this season, is that at this level in this league for this team, I don't think you can rely on Simon game in, game out. I just think that's something that we are now probably pretty comfortable saying, in that he is definitely a great deputy. He is a guy that can push your starter, and he can put together some minutes and performances for sure, because he's been doing some good stuff. But what you need your 9 to do is to score goals ultimately. And I know that there's a lot of value, that soft stuff kind of around that we do champion. But it's the underperformance. It's the lack of execution. It's guys deferring their opportunities because you want to pass to someone else, like Hartel in that scenario. It's not good enough. And like, that's not a problem with DeMay, in my opinion. That is players just aren't rising to the occasion. And I'm hoping that changes, and we kind of, what would he say, progress back to the mean there. Our expected goals more start to line up with our goals that we actually score, which you'd hope to happen. But this also happened last year. People forget. So those are some of the things I think that are largely kind of hurting us for most of the season. I don't know if you have anything you want to add there, Justin, or maybe any positivity to kind of transition us here.
I'm going to round us down to a little positivity, Jake, because guess what? We still have games to go, and then the World Cup break is coming up, and hopefully we'll be signing another player. But a little hopium for this first stretch is, based on last year's stats, we knew this was going to be the hardest stretch of the season by far. And it's actually rang true again this year on where those teams are. 8 of the 10 matches we've played so far this season have been against teams in a playoff position. One of them was San Jose, who is currently the Supporter Shield winner, and we should have won that game. So there's a little bit of hopium there. And now looking forward, 3 of our next 5 matches are at home, one of them being the Open Cup match against Houston. So Colorado, which we're about to cover, we'll talk about, that's one of our away games. And then our other away game is DC, who's only has 13 goals for in 11 games played, and they're only 500 at home. Talk about a spot where we can go and steal some points against the team. So we'll cover Colorado here as one of our away games. The other away game is DC. And then otherwise, we're at home until the World Cup. So 4 regular season matches left until we get to the World Cup. Jake, can we get to 12 total points? I'm not saying 12 points in those 4 matches. I'm not saying we're going to win out in 4. Do you think we can get 6 points in these final 4 matches? Here's how I think we can do it. Our last match for the World Cup is Austin back at home. That's got to be a dub. Absolute dub there. And then I think you steal a dub either at Colorado or at DC. And then maybe a little sprinkle on top. Bonus is LAFC at home. Can we get a draw? And then that put us at 13 points going into the World Cup break. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I could see both extremes. And it'll probably land somewhere in the middle. Like, I could see us getting 12 to 12 in this, just like on a whim. Or I could see us getting 0 of 12. I think the problem that I just see with this, Justin, is that we are so stop, start. There is no continuity in our performances and our results. It's remarkably frustrating because, like, yeah, you and I get a little high on the result in the U.S. Open Cup in the midweek. Because I think you saw San Jose too. Yes, very frustrating, but there was a good performance there. You know, it wasn't great, but there were some things you could write home about. And we're like, okay, there's 2 games in a row of like something I think we're building on. And then it just gets undone here by just lack of clinical efficiency in front of goal and things that, again, we haven't seen this season. But I just think we're our own worst enemy when it gets down to it. You could put the best team in the league out in front of us like we did against San Jose. We belonged on that pitch. We probably belonged to take home at least a point, if not 3. And then you play us against Austin, who is the worst team we've played, I think, so far statistically this season. And they looked way better than us in many of those moments. So it's just like, it's us. It's the man in the mirror. That's all I'm going to say. That's how I feel about this team right now.
I think that's a good way to end it. I'm going to round us out, Jake, before we hop into Colorado, just around the MLS and around the soccer world in general. The game of the week in the MLS, hands down, not even close, was Miami at home versus Orlando. Why was it the game of the week? Miami went up 3-0 in the first 33 minutes. Messi had a goal and assist on 2 of those first 3 goals. But then here comes Orlando. Martin Ojeda got one back in the 39th minute to make it 3-1 at half. You're like, all right, still Messi at home. They're completely fine. No. Ojeda then scored the next 2 goals in the second half in the 68th and 78th to tie it, with Tyrese Spicer netting the game winner and the comeback in the 90th +3 for Orlando to take down Miami, giving up a 3-0 lead at their new home. Absolutely wild. Another shout out that I put on our story, this just kind of a little insult to injury for all of our City fans. Big Sam at Dinnerand just got the golden boot for Austrian's domestic cup for his team Lask, as he scored 2 in the final and they won the cup, and he had 5 in the tournament. He got the golden boot in that tournament. And then another exciting point that we're pumped about. It's official. Bosnia is playing against Panama in a World Cup tune-up game at Energizer Park on June 6th at 2 p.m. Tickets are on sale at SeatGeek right now. I saw a tweet like yesterday when they went on sale 2 p.m., like 50 minutes in, the supporters group only had like 12 tickets left. Like those. And I also saw that they're going to be marching from BPV to Energizer Park. And this is all just for a tune-up game. I am absolutely stoked for it. Bosnia will also train in St. Louis for 6 days. So it's pretty exciting for them to actually be able to come here. Obviously, we don't have a team that is truly going to be here throughout the World Cup. We don't have any World Cup games, but it's awesome that they were able to make a stop beforehand.
Yeah, it's cool to have a brush with the big tournament, and shout out to the Bosnian community. I mean, so cool. I love the way they come out for the game. Absolutely amazing. Let's talk about Colorado here, at least for a bit, Justin. I know we're going to keep this one a little bit shorter, but Colorado's a mixed bag for us historically. This is a team that we are 1-3-2 win-loss draw against all time. In Colorado, which is where this game will be played, we are 0-2-1. So we've yet to put together a dub in Colorado, but it's been a lower scoring fixture. 2 goals for us, 6 conceded. And Colorado in the 2025 season finished with 41 points, which was tied for 9th, but they just barely missed out in the playoffs with that tiebreaker rule for the wild card they were trying to get into. And this year, they're marginally better in terms of the standings right now, currently operating at 7th in the West on 13 points, 4 of those being W's and 5 being losses, only 1 draw in the mix there. They're a +4 goal differential, but they're putting in goals, Justin. 22 goals for is not a small feat to look at, and it's with a new kind of up-and-coming manager. I don't like anyone from this sphere because they just have like this Spursiness to them, but they have a 37-year-old coach, Matt Wells, who was arriving. I think he was an assistant at Tottenham, and now he's got them playing in a more attractive type of style.
Yeah, it is. And this is one, Jake. And also, there's a reason that we don't just like it just because it's Spursy style. I think we also don't like it because it's Kroenke style a little bit on that front. So as St. Louisans, you can't like this team. For some reason, I saw like a graphic that like Missouri's rooting for the Avalanche and to win the Stanley Cup. I'm like, who made this? Like, I don't think you guys understand the things go back and forth. But sorry, I digress. But yes, they prioritize building out of the back from Zach Steffen, which, oh boy, usually I would say what, like 5-6 years ago, you're like, hell yeah, that rocks. Right. This time around, I've just seen blunder after blunder from that guy. But ultimately, they're looking for his distribution, which he still has, I would say, with the ball at his feet. Maybe not at settling or trying to make decisions, but then you can find in Aronson, Paxton, that we'll talk about later on as well. And that's one of their main attacking threats is going diagonal. They love to overload the right side, drag defenders out of position, and then a rapid switch over to Sealy or Manyama. And then ultimately, there's one guy that we need to be tracking as well, and that's Navarro. And that's going to be one that I need Timo Baumgartel to have jersey in hand for 80% of this game on that guy.
Good strikers have had good times against us in this run of games. So I worry a little bit because Navarro is pretty solid. And that diagonal transition, Justin, it just is like, oh my God, we just got a dose of that this past week. And I'm not looking forward to a double. I might need a double to get past this one. But defensively, they're playing a little more of that mid-block type of style right now where they do have some pressing and they have triggers where when the ball enters those wide channels, they will look to close those down. They're not looking to make this into like a Red Bull style track meet. They want to frustrate you in that middle and force turnovers for counterattacks. Rob Holding, ex-Arsenal man, is the center back right now for them. And he's that bend, don't break type of guy. They do allow a fair amount of possession. They concede, but they are elite at clearing those chances and getting to that in those second, just chance balls from set pieces as well. They also do play a little bit of an offside trap, which could be a positive, could be a negative, depending on how you look at it for our attack. Last six, though, Justin, they're kind of limping into this one. At number 27 in the league, when you look at the last six matches, 1-4-1. Key matches, though, at home they've played this season. They did defeat the Galaxy earlier on in March, a 6-2 dub against Houston in April, followed by a really tight match against Miami in a 2-3 loss and a 0-0 draw versus LAFC. So some big lopsided W's and some really close games against some good opponents. They also advanced to the quarterfinals in the U.S. Open Cup, beating Colorado Springs. But pretty cool. Colorado Rapids versus the Springs. That'd have been a really, really cool upset if you could really paint a really neat one. But XG wise, number 21 in the league, it's not like, again, they're killing it, but they're outperforming that expected goals. Like, actually, Justin, while you give us a little bit more, I will look to see how did they. Actually, I already did it. Past Jake knew that future Jake would want this stat. They had the third most expected goals versus actual goals for in the MLS. So they are kind of like our polar opposite when you think about the ability to be clinical in front of goal. They are way outperforming their expected goals and their chances.
And Jake, I will say, like, there's two parts to that, right? We just talked about how we're way underperforming, and honestly, I think it's just where we should be, just with the chances we're creating, and maybe we're building up a lot of small chances, not getting a true one. This team could just be really good at finishing too, but a lot of time, water finds its level, and they're going to digress, and I do think they will come back down with that. But Jake, one of the ththings that I thought that they would come back down with this is because Jordy Mihailovic, they sold him to Toronto for $8 million with $1 million of add-ons. In 2025, he had 9 goals, which was second on the team for the whole season, even though he missed the final third with them, and 7 assists, which led the team in his 24 matches with the club. So he is a key outgoing for them. But Jake, they have plenty of attacking guys coming back down and right back at us.
Yeah, Rafael Navarro, 26-year-old Brazilian DP, excellent 2025 campaign, 12 goals, 5 assists. And 2026 form says, I'm back, baby, as he currently leads the league with 11 goal contributions, 7 goals, 4 assists. Paxton Aronson, they broke up in the piggy bank and signed a club record fee of €7 million plus at 1.5 in add-ons. And he is kind of their future man, signed through 2030. He's 22 years old only, and he's the little brother of Brendan Aronson. But he's also had a career for himself already being in Germany, playing the Bundesliga with Eintracht Frankfurt. So there's already a pedigree to a very young player, and he is that engine, that creative engine for this team. Look for him to pop up in many different spaces. 3 goals, 2 assists on the season. We mentioned Rob Holding being that fulcrum on defense, a very veteran-like presence, played for some great teams abroad, and really signed to help kind of shore up things in the back line. I still don't really fear the back line, but he is probably the guy to look at. They do have just some athleticism pure in Dante Sealy as well, who's a 23-year-old left footer, also U.S. international. He had some time with Montreal, God love him, but he has made his way to Colorado, where no goals yet on the campaign, but look for this guy to be a big piece of that transition. He's just got speed for days, and he will stretch this defense to its limits.
Yeah, and Jake, we always try to cover injuries here. It's just hard when it's earlier in the week, but they do have a couple that are out as of the last injury report. Ted Pietro, Wayne Frederick, and Connor Rogan. But the one that I really wanted to look at, Jake, was Paxton Aronson. He is currently questionable, but I was going to go look at how many minutes he went on his last game, see if we can get anything, a little bit of insight there. So he was a substitute back, this past weekend. He played 51 minutes. I think he'll be just fine and probably ready to go for this one as well.
Keys of the game here. I think we said this thing before, but when those teams like to go very quickly in transition and go diagonally, they're using their wingbacks, they're using their fullbacks. When teams do that, like we experienced with Austin, there will be space in behind for us if we are able to defend that successfully and then transition ourselves, transition the transition. Colorado also brings a little more of that high line, that offsides trap. If you can time your runs well, there will be space in behind the center backs here. So that is another thing I'm looking at with a Rob Holding type figure. And I also think, for us, how we can beat them, I think we have a responsive type attitude in this match. It was just not good enough in Austin. Now you go to Colorado. Yes, you're in altitude. I'm sure they're limited. They have all the science behind that and how you do that, right? They don't do the long running travel anymore where they get used to and acclimatize. They actually do like very, very quick travels for these types of matches. I think they'll bring an attitude of, quick, with that mentality where it's what's the memory condition, Justin, where things reset very, very quickly, like short-term memory loss. You got to have it in this game. You absolutely have. I know Austin's fresh, But Colorado is a bigger challenge, in my opinion, and you cannot let that define you. So you have to come out hot in this game. Justin, fun fact, we have yet to score a goal in the 0 to 15 minutes in one game this year in MLS play. So early goal, you always talk about it. Haven't seen it done yet. Could this be the one?
I don't know. I don't even need an early goal from us. I just need us to just not poop our pants in the first 15 minutes where I'm pooping my pants watching the game. I have to change my shorts for halftime in the past like 5 games because I can't just stand it. So, Jake, hopefully we'll be throwing out some boys out there that are going to help me do that. But there's going to be a couple that we're not going to have ready to go. And that's all in our STL injury report brought to you by Schmickens Injury Law Firm. Real talk, when injury insurance companies get the ball, this flop, stall, waste time, everything that you absolutely hate. Without a team in your corner, you can't make things move forward. That's why you call Rob Schmickens at Injury Law Firm. Rob and his team are doing their best, and they will treat your case like the MLS Cup Final, the U.S. Open Cup Final, Champions League Cup Final, whatever you want to call it. And the best part is you don't pay unless they win. And your fees will never be greater than your share of their recovery. If you've ever been hurt and you need someone that actually fights for you, check them out at hurtinstl.com or by calling 314-222-4223. Mention that the Ball Watching Boys sent you for a special discount on your attorney fees, available exclusively for Ball Watching listeners. Schmickens Injury Law Firm. No dies, no delays, just results. Jake, it seemed like we could have Mr. Orozco back into the starting 11. We'll talk about starting 11 here in a little bit, but true injuries, I think it was just Edelman and Celio, and Edelman wasn't even hurt. That was just load management. So right now, as of time of recording, I'll go double check if we have any updates, but it's just Celio who's out for the season. Which, yeah, let me know your thoughts. I think we just take him off it. I think I almost feel bad talking about that Celio's out every week, but let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think we just roll straight into the 11. I'll roll the graphic and we'll stitch this one together. Now for the Hoffman brothers predicted starting 11. This is a difficult one because now again you have a full squad minus Celio to look at, and the load management could come back. Like Durkin is also on that list of minutes played. I could easily see him getting a sit down very, very soon here. I think for me, Justin, it's obviously Berkey returning here, but not Berkey just Berkey by name. Berkey, the Berkey that we just saw in this game, is going to have to be the performance that we see game in, game out. So want to make that comment. I think you got to see some change to your center back core. I would like to see wholesale change. When I say wholesale change, I think Orozco, welcome back. I think you want to put Falou Fall back at your left center back, and I would like to see Mbake start as well. I don't think that's all going to happen. I think Orozco will come back, though. And I think you might see a Falou Fall start in this game, Justin. But any more disruption you see on that back line?
I mean, I would love to see Timo switched out. Is there any chance that we can call him load management? Let me pull that up real quick. Timo. Yeah, Timo's got the most minutes on the team. Yeah, he's got 900. Timo, hit the bench, buddy. Hit the showers. Chill on this one. Let's try the Fall brothers back there. And honestly, I don't know if Durkin needs it or not. If we're gonna push Leuven up, throw Polvara next to Edelman. I do not care. Let's just try to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like these 11 conversations just kind of just venting our frustrations on how unwilling Deme has been to play new players. And I don't know if that's because he isn't either capable or what, but we're at 10 match days over now. Like let's let some guys get a chance here. It hasn't been good. Like no one has really cemented their spot. So can we let some of those fringe guys get a look in at the team?
And we're not saying we're throwing in the towel for the season, but obviously something needs to change. And I'm not saying you need to flip every guy to be a City 2 guy either, but you probably need to do more than just tinker who's playing in that bottom right of the upper 3 triangle. We did that for the first 8 games, and that was really the only movement we saw. And obviously didn't work out very well considering we had the least amount of points that we've ever started through the first 10 games of a season. So might as well shake it up a little bit more. And I'm well with you for you, Jake. I still think that we go Totland on the left and Vollum on the right. I don't know if you could try to say maybe a Mackay Joyner on the right, but I don't know if you're going to give him a start. I don't know if that's the spot.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you'll keep the midfield 4, again, assuming you're not going to rest any of those midfielders, Totland, Dirk, and Edelman Wallum. You bring them right back. I think you'd probably, again, roll with Hartel Leuven. I'm convinced that Leuven is taking up space from someone else that probably could also not do his role exactly how he does it, but play in that position. And you could drop him back and maybe offset some of the lack of depth we have in central midfield right now. But I do think, Justin, here, Cordova gets this start here. I'd be shocked if he did not start up top.
And I will say, Jake, if we're talking about load management, now Edelman has 90 minutes less than Durkin almost. So if we do switch Durkin out, I'm not opposed to putting a Leuven next to Edelman and starting a toy shirt with Hartel underneath of a Cordova either.
Yep.
Just some ideas that we can play with. And
like
then is Sang been alive? Has anybody talked to the man in a bit? We haven't talked about him in the last 5 episodes either. So I just maybe like a wellness check on that guy.
So we talked about the possible, right? We'll have to put together a graphic and put our best guess out for what DeMay do, but it's so hard to guess because he's been so reluctant to change, and we all feel like changes do. But goals for the game, predictions, bets here, Justin. My goal for the game is no transition defense goals. This is a transition type of team. You've got to store that up. Even if it's just for one game, show us you can do it, that you're not just remarkably wide open on transitions. I want to see that. I do think we're still going to lose this game against Colorado. They've got to turn their form around as well. So they're going to be needing these points at home. And I think they've got the goal threat to prove it. We're not showing any signs of learning from our mistakes defensively. So as much as my goal is to change it, I still think we'll lose this one. I have a score of 3-1 loss right now.
My goal for this one, Jake, is just start stronger. There's nothing to it, stats perspective. I don't need us to be beating them on stats, but good God, you can't I think, like I already said, they had Austin had 5 shots in the first 9 minutes of the game. If you average that, that's 45 shots in a game. That's absolutely absurd to me. And we cannot be having that happen. So start stronger in this game. Don't put us in a hole, try to battle uphill. The odds are not in our favor. City to win plus 225, Colorado at even money in the draw at plus 255. Jake, I really don't like this number, but I'm going to go with it anyways. And I'm going to go with City double chance at minus 135. Usually when the odds are that swung, I thought we'd get that at plus money, but I'm not going to bet us to score 2 goals at plus 112. I don't think that's there. So if anything, I might take your second half bet again. But otherwise, I might just go with a double chance and sweat it out.
I've got City to score in the second half as my bet at minus 135. It tends to be kind of where we score all of our goals right now. It takes just a little while to pump one in. And in some games, there's none. But if there's going to be a half we're going to score, and I think it's this one, and we've scored 77% of our goals in the second half this season, which is not good. I remind you. So that's what we got for you all this week on Ball Watching, and we'll be back again next week to recap this one, prepare for the next one as we get closer and closer to World Cup break. But in the meantime, all for